Hi guys, and welcome back to another exciting episode. In this exciting episode we're going to look at weeds, and weeds are one of the big jobs that people have to do when they take on a garden. So there's a couple of things that I want to kind of quickly mention, the things that I would definitely not recommend, and that's for a general garden like this, don't use weed matting. So that's the plastic weed matting that you see that came out in about the 80s. It was very popular and everyone put it in, and they put the weed mat down, you cut a hole for the plant and it suppresses the weeds that are in the soil already. But after time, what happens is that soil builds up on top of that layer of plastic, and it actually grows weeds in the weed mat. So it becomes a real problem. And of course, then when plants grow, that weed mat can actually stop a lot of the nutrition and the development of that soil improving over time. It has limited ability to sort of breathe, even though that the weed matting has got fibers in it to let the air. Doing anything like conditioning, for putting compost on, everything that I say for this, like if we're going to put like bark on this garden, it goes on the top. Of course, you've got weed mat there, that bark goes on the top, and then the bark breaks down, and then what happens is that will form the layer that the weed seeds, which are floating around in the air all the time, will land on, and then of course the weeds will grow into that fibrous matting. And that fibrous matting, actually once the roots are in that, are quite difficult to get out. And I've got a place at the back of the garden here where the previous owners had put weed matting down, and it's about this far down now under the soil, so it's very difficult to get out. There is a couple of good alternatives, natural organic alternatives. There is now available as the wool weed matting, which will break down after about 12 months to 2 years, and also the fibrous cocoa fiber sort of mats that will also break down after about 12 months to 2 years. So they're good options to use just for that sort of temporary weed suppression, because there is a lot of seeds in the soil that will germinate. And of course the long-term plan is that ground covers will take over and will cover the bare soil, because it's the bare soil is the problem. Because once the soil is covered with a plant, the seeds will fall on this plant and they can't get their roots into the soil and they will not be able to germinate. So ground covers like this particular one here is Gardenia radicans. The idea here is for these three gardenias to cover this area, and that will keep the weeds down. So that's what we're aiming for here. So just a couple of pointers on that. So good ground covers are nice and dense, and if you want, you can keep them nicely clipped, or these ones are quite low anyway. This one will only grow to around about sort of 15 to 20 centimeters high, so around about this high. Perfect for here. And of course you've got the addition of the white flowers. Okay guys, we're going to leave it there. So just to summarize, plastic weed matting are pretty much a no-no when it comes to gardening. Better off to use a thick layer of mulch like bark and let that break down to suppress the weeds initially, or even paper underneath and let that break down. People use newspaper and then put the bark on top just to suppress the weeds. If you're going to use weed matting, then it's okay if you want to use it with, say, rocks and pebbles, where you want to separate the soil and the pebbles. But even in these sort of cases, it's not always clear, because you can actually just leave a good layer of rocks on the soil will actually do the same. But that's probably the only place I would probably use weed matting is when you've got rocks and you want to separate the two. So eventually, like I said, summarizing up, is that the ground covers will do the job, and the plants to take away any bare soil surface, because that's where the weeds are going to grow. Lots of different weeds here. Just to say, I mean, most of the weeds are annual weeds. Like this here is a milkweed. When you pull it, it has the white sap that comes out of it. It's a part of the Euphorbia genus. And then you've got other ones that have tap roots, like the dock and things like that. So you have to dig down and make sure you get the taproot as well. If you just pull off the surface, it will just regrow. So things like dandelions. Generally speaking, the dicotyledons, these are the ones with the fibrous veins. They will sort of tend to sort of send down the taproot, and the monocotyledons, the ones with the parallel veins, they tend to have a fibrous root system. So you can see this garden here, it has got a few weeds in it, and I will get onto it and give it a good clean soon. Okay guys, leave it there and we'll talk to you soon.